Okay, so you've just seen the new trailer and gameplay drop for Ghostwire Tokyo, and you're thinking to yourself, what in the Naruto jutsu is going on here? Yeah, this game looks like what your brain conjures up in a fever dream if the last movie you watched was a Miyazaki film, or if you're a brain cell in the brain of Shinji Mikami. Anyway, there hasn't been too much coverage about this game up until the last week, at least at the time of the recording of this video, and now all of a sudden, we were given a lot of content and demo previews to talk about. I'll be the first to admit, on the surface, this doesn't look like my type of game. I'm not really into supernatural things, it's just not my interest, but I will give credit where it's due in that I really appreciate when developers try something new and try to innovate on the stagnant game design formula we've seen over the last 10 years or so for the vast majority of the AAA market. Let's be honest, the only thing that you really need to know about this game is that not only can you walk up to animals like cats, dogs, and even a tanuki, which is a raccoon dog, and pet them, but because of your powers, which we'll go over, you can understand their thoughts. That's it. That's all you need to know. This game is the ultimate power fantasy. I'm good. Day one purchase. For real though, Ghostwire Tokyo is being developed by Tango Gameworks and is being published by Bethesda. The game is coming out day one for PC and PS5 as a timed console exclusive on March 25th, 2022, and will come to the Xbox consoles sometime after March 2023 for a retail price of $59.99 US, or likely a part of Game Pass. As if there weren't enough games coming out in the next 2 months, and even specifically March 25th, I don't even know where the time is going to come from. One more thing, if I butcher any pronunciations of any words or names in Japanese or any language for that matter in future videos, I am so sorry. Please correct me in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, remember to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. It would really help out and I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, let's jump right in. Here are 5 things you need to know about Ghostwire Tokyo. The game is being produced by Shinji Mikami. Yes, that Shinji Mikami, the creative brain behind games such as The Evil Within, and he also helped out with Resident Evil 4. So yeah, this guy has a brilliant track record. As is readily apparent, the game is heavily inspired by Japanese folklore. You'll see yokai or spirits, tanuki, and tengu even. Ghostwire Tokyo is a first-person, semi-open world action RPG with a heavy focus on supernatural and horror elements. It's set in Tokyo, Japan, where most of the people have been mysteriously turned into ghosts and spirits, including the main character's own family, his sister. You will play as a Japanese man named Akito, who has somehow fused with KK, an experienced deceased ghost hunter who has become a spirit.
Ironic.
Together, Akito and KK will work to fend off evil spirits that are doing their best Slender Man impression, and also save the friendly trapped spirits. The main antagonist is a man named Hanya, you know, the one who wears a large Oni mask. Your goal is tracking and stopping him, saving not only the city and all of the lost spirits, but also Akito's sister. KK has supposedly been hunting Hanya for some time now, but before he could catch up to him, he was killed. Anyway, Hanya's main driving purpose hasn't been revealed, but what he does speak of is unleashing a, quote, new age upon mankind. It's speculated that his plan is to merge the realm of the dead and the living. Again, his motive isn't completely clear, so it's up to you as Akito and KK to uncover Hanya's true plan. From what we've seen so far, there do appear to be multiple biomes beside Tokyo, and specifically the Shibuya district. We saw a forest area, a snowy area, like a foggy dreamland type of area. Anyway, while the game takes place in Tokyo, you will be transported to these other areas and have to find your way back. KK the Ghost Hunter will communicate with you from within your own body as you explore Tokyo. Let's talk about the meat of the game, and that is the general gameplay. So the world itself, as mentioned, is mostly centered around the Shibuya district in Tokyo. While it does appear as an open world, it's more restrained than what might appear. The map layout is closer to that of the Yakuza series. For those who haven't played Yakuza, the player will explore a large city filled with corridor-style pathways, which then divert into multiple directions. It gives the sensation of feeling much larger than what it actually is. This may come as disappointing to some, but personally, I think that this is a good choice because it allows the developers to really focus in on the small details of the experience and also allows players to get to really know the map inside and out. I really enjoyed this type of map layout in a game like Persona 5 even, where you really knew every single street and where each of the stores were because of the constrained level design. Despite the more corridor style layout, one element that does add to the sense of scale is verticality. It's seen in the trailers that you can sort of grapple hook up to the Tengus that are flying up in the sky near the tops of buildings. And once you've grappled to the top, you can also absorb the spirit, and then you can go about your business. My worry with any game, not just Ghostwire, is making sure that the levels feel appropriate to the type of setting that they're going for. In RPGs like The Witcher 3, it's vitally important to the ambiance of the game that the cities have tons of NPCs with their own routines just going about their day. It makes their location feel real and like it fits in that setting. In Ghostwire, it's all spirits and otherworldly-like entities, and the streets of Tokyo aren't going to be lively and happy with kids running around. However, there will be spirits that inhabit it and are unable to pass to the other side. They'll even have their own dialogue. It was heard in one of the demos that a random NPC can be heard talking about a ramen shop nearby. There are also going to be side quests centered around some of these spirits. Going back to the original synopsis, the fog that covers the area can also be shown on the map, with KK even telling you that you should avoid it. The way you unlock more of the map is that you get new powers and abilities, and you'll clear out what are called Torii gates. Once the Torii gates have been purged of enemies, that part of the map will open up. You will spend the majority of the game clearing these gates and the cleansing shrines that go with them. You'll even have an opportunity to make a monetary donation at the shrines, ranging to 100 to 500 Maker. Maker is the in-game currency. What impact the donations have, we aren't sure just yet. Keep your eye out for more info. Not all is evil and trying to kill you, however. As mentioned earlier, there are friendly spirits that can be seen trapped in these like containment cubes. There is also general corruption that can be seen as a black substance around the city. This corruption can engulf areas as well as engulf some of the spirits. One thing to note here is that you will have fast travel at your disposal, which is a really nice addition. There are side missions in the game, so having fast travel to be able to go in between locations is a nice quality of life choice. We'll dive deeper into the progression system and the combat in just a little bit, but when you do kill enemies, gain experience, and save lost spirits, those spirits are absorbed into a Japanese paper doll known as a Katashiro. A Katashiro uses Shinto worship to absorb the spells, which once absorbed, you can bring the dolls to phone booths that are scattered around the city. Once you're in the phone booth, you can transfer the spirits for Maker, again the in-game currency, and experience points. There are supposedly over 240,000 spirits to transfer in the game, so block off those calendars and submit your PTO request now. These spirits need saving. From a lore perspective, KK will tell you that any spirits caught in the fog that you bring back to a phone booth will return to quote-unquote normal. I really like how deep they're going into the Japanese folklore here. Not enough games do this in today's climate. There are also in-game shops that you can use to buy an assortment of goodies. The best part of these shops are easily the yokai cats who run the shop. Some of the items you can buy from these shops are replenishment items like the Kibidango for health, but also you can buy more Katashiros, which in turn will allow you to absorb more spirits. Another gameplay element is kind of like the detective vision in the Batman Arkham games, which is called spectral vision. Spectral vision helps you find hidden doors, objects, and trapped souls. In some cases, the trapped souls even leave a trail behind that will lead you to their location. On occasion, you will also be locked into an area by energy barriers. In some of the demos, it's heard that KK will mention that if the barrier stones scattered in that area are not destroyed, the building will implode and crush them. On the flip side, there are also barriers that lock off areas to Aikido, but as you progress through the story and gain access to more hand symbols, you will be able to get into these areas via a little mini game. There seems to be quite a bit of variety so far in the game, and I think the developers really thought out how to make this as varied of an experience as possible. As far as character progression goes, there's a clear RPG-like element to the game with experience points, skill trees, and multiple weapons in your arsenal. You've seen the hand gestures, but there's also a bow and arrow, talismans, and even exorcisms in your arsenal to fight back against our ethereal foes. There's a very brief look at the skill menu, and it looks like there's going to be a lot of unlockable abilities. Multiple people from some of the demos counted 21 ethereal weaving unlocks, or magic, and 16 equipment skill and upgrades. Frankly, this game takes aspects of the FPS shooter genre and interweaves it with the magic and lore of the game. What's probably caught your eye is the ethereal weaving. This is the combat that's shown off in the trailer with the hand gestures. If I can just perform a sexy jutsu in the game for the lulz, that would make my whole year. Please, Tango Gameworks, make it happen. Anyway, Akito and KK's combined skill allows them to use ethereal weaving and spiritual attacks to swiftly dispatch enemies with his, well, what essentially a ghost wire, and you rip them down to their spiritual cores. These cores allow you to replenish your ammunition. The wires themselves look really cool and like ripped out of something like Marvel's Doctor Strange. If you manage to stagger multiple enemies at one time, you can change the weaving and rip out all the cores in one fell swoop. It looks insanely satisfying. It's one of those moves that just looks cool. I'm hoping it's gonna feel the same. I spoke a little bit about being able to perform exorcisms, and this is done in sort of a mini game. This actually also applies to opening up some doors to locked areas of the map. To do this, you're actually going to trace a seal on the thumbstick on a controller and presumably the mouse on a keyboard and mouse setup. By doing this, it's going to open up those barriers. Finger guns aren't metal guns with lead bullets. You do have ammunition to consider. When using these spells, the spells themselves are color-coded, as you can see on some of the layout of the UI. Green indicates wind or tornado, red indicates fire, and blue represents water. You do have the ability to send projectiles back at enemies with a well-timed parry. The combat so far looks incredibly dynamic, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the end result. One more thing, stealth takedowns are a thing because of course they are. Using spectral vision, you can use it in some cases to see enemies through walls and then perform a quick purge on the enemy, which is a stealth takedown. In case you've been living under a rock or you just simply don't keep up to date with much video game industry news, the developer of Ghostwire Tokyo is Tango Gameworks, and Tango Gameworks is under the umbrella of ZeniMax, which is also the parent company of Bethesda. Now, due to the recent acquisition of ZeniMax and Bethesda by Xbox and Microsoft, there was some initial confusion around what would happen with games that were already in development. The answer is really quite simple. Ghostwire Tokyo will be a one-year timed console exclusive. It will release on Xbox consoles sometime after March 2023. As mentioned in the intro though, the game is still hitting PC day one. Due to the game being exclusive to current gen consoles only, we do get a suite of goodies that are supported at a hardware level. There's going to be full DualSense support for the PS5 controller, and 3D audio is confirmed as well. Ray traced reflections are also going to be included on PS5 and presumably PC and the Xbox Series consoles. The game is also going to have an alternative mode that will support up to 4K with 60 FPS. I really hope the developers are going to give us a choice on which graphics mode or performance mode that we want to use. Similar to the way that Techland has done with Dying Light 2, offering a 60 FPS mode, a high resolution mode, and a ray tracing mode. I don't want that exact implementation from Dying Light 2 because those modes are kind of disappointing, but that's a whole separate discussion. I'm hoping we're going to see an implementation closer to that of Ratchet & Clank on the PS5, with a super high quality 4K 30 mode with ray tracing, a performance mode that strips ray tracing but keeps the resolution close to 4K and 60 FPS, and then perhaps even a performance RT mode that will run 60 FPS and with ray tracing enabled. We'll have to wait a little bit to get information on that one. Those are just my hopes and dreams. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I can't tell you how much it helps out the little guys like us. What are your thoughts in this game? Let's talk down in the comments. Are you excited, cautiously optimistic, still can't get your hand on a PS5 or Series X for that matter? I understand the struggle. Despite this not being my usual cup of tea, I love seeing developers take risks and try new things, explore different lore and backgrounds. Honestly, if all things go well, I may consider picking this one up for myself. I'll catch you next time.